Welcome everyone to Design Bytes, a weekly series that takes a look at and breaks down good, bad, and interesting instances of game design. Today's video is all about one of the Donkey Kong Country trilogy's signature elements, the Animal Buddies. These guys are fun extensions on the main gameplay of the series, but they saw their role change from the first title to the second. Let's examine what Donkey Kong Country 2, Diddy's Kong Quest did differently from the original DKC, and why it was a great change for the series. Special thanks to The Geek Critique who covered this topic in his Donkey Kong Country 2 retrospective. The video is linked in the description, so check it out. Animal Buddies in the original Donkey Kong Country trilogy were Rare's take at the Yoshi idea found in the Mario series. As a result, they worked pretty much the same way in the first Donkey Kong Country game as Yoshi did in Super Mario World. DK and Diddy can find them in crates, and busting them out allows the Kongs to ride them and use their specific abilities, whether it's the ability to jump higher, break walls, or swim easier. If the player takes damage while they have an animal buddy, that buddy will run away frantically. While they're busy spazzing out, players can catch them and regain them, but it's important to note that it means that these buddies can be lost within a stage. This approach is pretty much identical to how Super Mario World implemented Yoshi, and for Rare's first Donkey Kong platformer, it made sense to do something similar. In DKC 1, animal buddies are primarily used as a way to make levels easier and to reach bonus areas that wouldn't be accessible without them. This is a nice way to do things, because it means that players automatically put a high value on animal buddies. Without them, players miss out on all kinds of goodies and bonus rooms, and it's one of the reasons why there's a lot of fondness for them in the fandom. However, this implementation in the first DKC has one notable limitation. Animal buddies each have their own set of controls, physics, and abilities, and that means that the stages could have been more diversified to include all of these if the developers could have guaranteed that players would have them. But because they can't, Rare had to be more conservative to ensure that DK and Diddy can beat every level by themselves. Although players might love these guys, in-game it feels like they're pure power-ups rather than true partners, and their limited use makes them nothing more than a fun diversion. Donkey Kong Country 2, by comparison, was absolutely determined to elevate the status of animal buddies and integrate them into the core gameplay. In the early parts of the game, animal buddies work exactly the same as the first adventure, but as Dixie and Diddy make their way through K. Rool's Island, they'll start to encounter these barrels instead of crates. When Dixie or Diddy enter one of these barrels with an image of the animal buddy on it, they transform into the animal buddy instead of riding on top of it. This seems like a small change at first, but it actually significantly increases the scope of the level design found in Donkey Kong Country 2. Because the Kongs change into the animal buddy when using these barrels, and because the game has plenty of levels where players are forced to interact with them, it means that individual levels can now be built specifically for each animal buddy's moveset, giving the game a ton of variety and advanced challenge. Levels that feature animal buddy transformation barrels can be built with more verticality, with more unique gimmicks, and with one-off set pieces that couldn't be done otherwise if the Kongs were simply rescuing them from crates. This change makes these guys so much more entertaining and memorable, because they're now a vital part of the adventure, and their wide array of skills adds so much depth to Donkey Kong Country 2. Rare knew what they had with this change, and as a result set out to maximize it throughout the quest. Every single playable animal buddy in the adventure has at least one level where there's a required transformation barrel, and Rare did an excellent job of spacing them out throughout the game, while also showing some necessary restraint. That's super important to note, because if the game had become saturated with animal transformation levels, the game would have lost a little bit of its identity since the core gameplay would have been spread too thin. This infrequent usage also means that players don't absolutely have to master each animal buddy's physics and controls, but it does ensure that they need to at least sharpen their skill a little bit with each one to get through the game. Donkey Kong Country 2's implementation of the series' animal buddies is an example of the type of massive improvements that a video game sequel can have. Rare did a wonderful job of borrowing a concept from Mario, trying it out, and then drastically improving it to create a unique and wonderful experience. The amount of variety and depth the animal buddy transformation barrels provide players is one of the reasons why DKC 2 stands out so much more from its contemporaries, and it's resulted in these guys being part of the series' identity ever since.